Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, we've got an update on whether or not you can expect wrestlers from Stardom on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. We've also got an update on Bret Hart and if he is expected in AEW anytime soon. And stay tuned to the end of the video where we will preview Wrestling Dontaku. Subscribe to Spoiler-Free Wrestling for all your wrestling news. So there is some bad news for anyone who is hoping to see wrestlers from Stardom on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view on June 26th. It was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter this week that Stardom is not expected to participate in the pay-per-view. However, they are hopeful that they can take part in future shows. Stardom has its own pay-per-view on June 26th. Here is what Dave Meltzer wrote about Stardom not participating in the Forbidden Door. Meltzer wrote, "There's nothing at all going on regarding that show regarding Stardom, which has a pay-per-view scheduled the same day. We do know that Stardom, which is owned by Bushiroad, the same company that owns New Japan, would be interested in being part of future shows and working with AEW. Stardom would also be interested in booking AEW talent for a December 30th show at Sumo Hall, although neither side has talked as best we can tell. So Stardom does have a big event on December 30th. They are hopeful that many foreign fans who will be flying in for Wrestle Kingdom that week will come in early to check out their show on what would be the Friday. So in terms of AEW talent working Wrestle Kingdom next year, however, that's going to be tough, as January 4th falls on a Wednesday when AEW Dynamite is filmed and takes place. And the second night, of course, would be night 2 on the Thursday, January the 5th. So it might be tough for AEW to take part in Wrestle Kingdom this year. But as we mentioned in a previous video, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling is hopeful to perhaps hold a follow-up event to Forbidden Door featuring AEW wrestlers against New Japan wrestlers, but this time hosted in Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling of the USA confirmed the second match for its May 14th pay-per-view from Washington, D.C., Capital Collision. So after a backstage altercation at Windy City Riot, Brody King and Minoru Suzuki is now official to take place on the show. That is the second match confirmed. Eddie Kingston will also be taking on Tomohiro Ishii on the show. Kingston had confronted Ishii at Windy City Riot as well. Now, Tomohiro Ishii might very well be going into his match with Eddie Kingston on the show as the IWGP United States Champion. After Will Ospreay tested positive for COVID-19, he was removed from the United States Championship match at Wrestling Dontaku on May the 1st. Ishii then replaced him and will face Hiroshi Tanahashi. Speaking of Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jon Moxley challenged Tanahashi to a match for Capital Collision. However, that match has yet to be made official. Staying with New Japan Pro Wrestling of the USA, there is a situation developing regarding Chris Dickinson, who had actually announced recently that he'd signed a contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, making it his home promotion. Well, Dickinson has pulled out of a GCW event he was scheduled for after his former partner and fellow wrestler Christina Von Eerie alleges that he was physically abusive towards her. Dickinson has denied the claims. He took to Twitter shortly after the allegations were made by Von Eerie, and Dickinson said, "I saw what was said about me by a former partner. I need to make it very clear. I have never physically abused her or any other partner. These accusations are false, they are hurtful, and they go against everything I believe in." Von Eerie responded to that post saying, "Don't worry, I'll be posting the photo I took that night you slapped me across the face very soon." However, Dickinson then took to Twitter to announce he wouldn't be on the GCW show. He said, "I have made the decision to pull myself off of Saturday's GCW event in Atlantic City. I do not want to serve as a distraction to the event or my peers. The accusations made about me by a former partner are false and contain multiple defamatory allegations that will be addressed in due time. I do not wish to engage in public discourse on this matter. Instead, I will pursue all legal options afforded to me in an effort to clear my name." So we will see how this all shakes out with Chris Dickinson. The 01 promotion has announced a benefit show for Shinjiro Otani, who sustained a cervical spinal cord injury on April 10th. He was wrestling in the main event of a show when he took a German suplex into the corner and remained motionless afterwards. He was taken to hospital. He would later have surgery on April 13th to prevent further deterioration of the injury. However, according to the most recent updates, he is still unable to move his arms or legs. So the benefit show for Shinjiro Otani will be held on Saturday, June 4th from the Ota Ward General Gymnasium in Tokyo. The event will be titled One Team, and New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers Yuji Nagata, Tomoaki Hanma, and Togi Makabe are scheduled to take part in the event. Pro Wrestling Noah is also committed to sending wrestlers to the show as well. WWE released 10 wrestlers from the NXT brand on Friday. And so some of these names we figure will be popping up on the independent scene in New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, Impact, and other promotions in the near future. So released were Dakota Kai. Now Dakota Kai wrestled as Evie before she signed with WWE and had a successful career. So we will see what is next for Evie now that she is back in the pro wrestling world and away from sports entertainment. Now Malcolm Bivens, the former Stokely Hathaway, the manager who had currently been assigned to the Diamond Mine, he was released as well. However, in his case, it is being reported that WWE was trying to re-sign him, and he had no interest in doing so. So this was a little bit of, he's been released, but he also was on his way out anyway by his own choice. The wrestler known as Harland, also a real name Parker Boudreaux, he had been heavily recruited by both AEW and WWE in 2020 and 2021. He was released. And up on your screen now you can see these were tweets by Paul Heyman and Jim Ross, really touting up the potential that young Parker Boudreaux has. Also released was Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis was a mainstay on NXT programming for a while, but he's been cut from WWE. Persia Parada, who had been in an angle with Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis and those guys, she is gone as well. Draco Anthony, he has been released, as has referee Blair Baldwin. And then a few wrestlers who never quite made it to NXT were Vishkanya, Mila Malani, and Raylan Devine have all been released as well. In a previous video, we mentioned that the Wrestling Observer newsletter was reporting that Bret Hart had signed a deal with WWE that would prevent him from appearing on AEW programming, specifically as FTR's manager. In an update to this story, however, Bret Hart has said that his deal with WWE is a merchandising deal and not any other deal. So it's not exactly clear if Bret Hart is legally able to appear on an AEW show or not. All we know is that at one point at least, AEW believed that he was not legally available to them. So Dave Meltzer wrote in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, AEW was under the impression he could not appear for them due to his deal with WWE. We don't have it clear whether Hart could legally appear on an AEW broadcast or not, past AEW believed he was not legally available to them. So, the possibility of Bret Hart showing up in AEW is there. However, there's nothing that says there's been any discussions at all between Hart and AEW, as AEW was of the belief that they could not legally talk to him. On AEW Rampage this week, we saw the 5th wrestler qualify for the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament after Darby Allin defeated Swerve Strickland in the show opener. The match was not without controversy, however, as Team Taz's Ricky Starks, of course Team Taz has been feuding with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, so Ricky Starks came down to the ring area, and the momentary distraction was all Darby Allin needed to recover and lock in a pinning combination. So Darby Allin now joins Samoa Joe, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Dax Harwood as having qualified for the tournament. Also on Rampage on Friday night, a few matches were added to AEW's show next Wednesday in Baltimore. So we had a couple of matches added to Rampage and a match added to AEW Dynamite as well. So looking at the Dynamite lineup for next Wednesday, we will see another Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament qualifying match as Jeff Hardy takes on Bobby Fish. This will be Jeff Hardy's first singles match in AEW, and Bobby Fish looks to join Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly as members of the Undisputed Elite who have qualified for the tournament. We will see Wardlow face a mystery opponent brought in by Maxwell Jacob Friedman. There's been heavy teases that this person could be the former Big Cass, now known as W. Morrissey, in Impact Wrestling. We will see the ROH Women's World Championship unification match as Deonna Purrazzo defends the title against interim champion Mercedes Martinez. We will see the Andrade Family Office, Angelico the Blade and the Butcher take on the Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. And in a match that was just made official on Rampage last night, Chris Jericho will take on Santana, and this follows Chris Jericho burning Eddie Kingston with a fireball last week. Then on Rampage, which will air next Friday, we will see Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter team up to take on Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. We will also see Hook take on a wrestler to be named later. The big event this weekend is New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestling Dontaku on Sunday, May the 1st. So many big angles that have been playing out for the last few months will culminate at this event. Let's run down the matches for the show. So, some of the preliminary matches, we will see Bushi and Shingo Takagi team up with a mystery partner who will be replacing Fujinami, who unfortunately tested positive for COVID-19 recently. They will be taking on the team of Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. We will see Yo face Hiromu Takahashi in a match between two junior heavyweights. And of course, we have the best of the Super Juniors coming up in a couple of weeks. We will see Tanga Loa try to get his hands on Yujiro Takahashi from Bullet Club's House of Torture. The first championship match that we'll see on the show will be for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, as the team 6 or 9, Taguchi and Master Wato, will take on Doki and Kanemaru. Now, this will be just the second title defense for Team 6 or 9. However, Taguchi is one of the greatest IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions of all time. By some statistics, he is the greatest. If you look up on your screen now, this is some of the stats for individual wrestlers with these titles. And you can see Taguchi ranks 3rd in terms of combined days spent with the title. However, he ranks 1st in terms of number of reigns with the title, and 1st again in terms of combined defenses with one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships. Of course, Master Wato, this is his first run with the title, however. As for their opponents, Doki has never held the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships, but Kanemaru is highly decorated with the belts. He's had 6 reigns, 11 combined defenses, and 728 combined days spent with the titles. Next up, the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships will be defended as the new champions from the United Empire, the Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb, will defend them in a triple threat match against the team they beat for those titles at Hyper Battle 2022. That's Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, as well as the Bullet Club team of Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. Now, Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale, neither one of them have held these titles previously. Also, this is the first run for Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb. Yoshihashi had never held the tag team titles before winning them at Wrestle Kingdom this year. Hiroki Goto is in his 2nd reign with the titles as well. So we will see who comes away from this triple threat as the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And I know this match is very important to many of you. It is to me as well. Tama Tonga has never won a singles title in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He will have a chance to do just that at Wrestling Dontaku when he takes on Evil for the Never Openweight Championship. Of course, this is a rematch from the New Japan Cup when Evil and House of Torture utilized outside interference to eliminate Tama Tonga from the tournament. Evil is in his second reign as the Never Openweight champion. He's successfully defended that title twice and will be looking to do so for a third time against Tama Tonga on Sunday. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship will be on the line at Wrestling Dontaku as well. Current champion El Desperado will take on Taiji Ishimori from the Bullet Club. El Desperado is in his second reign with the title. He's successfully defended it 5 times combined across his 2 title reigns and 317 plus days spent as champion. That currently ranks him 11th all time. As for Taiji Ishimori, he's twice held the title and twice successfully defended it as well. He will be looking to win the title for a third time on Sunday. We will see a new IWGP United States champion crowned at Wrestling Dontaku, as former champion Sonata, who had won that title on February 19th on the Golden Series. Sonata was forced to vacate the title after suffering an injury in the New Japan Cup while facing Will Ospreay. So, with Sonata vacating the title, originally a match between Ospreay and Hiroshi Tanahashi had been booked, but then Ospreay tested positive for COVID-19 and was removed from the match. Ishii was announced as his replacement. So Hiroshi Tanahashi is in his second reign with the title. He will be looking to defend it for just the second time. Tomohiro Ishii has never held the United States Championship previously. And the big match, of course, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Kazuchika Okada will look to defend against the man who defeated him in the semifinals of the New Japan Cup, Tetsuya Naito. Okada will be looking to set the record for the most combined title defenses with the belt, or in one reign, actually, as he will be looking to defend the title for the 4th time since winning it, and that would break the tie he currently has with Shingo Takagi in that category. Now, this will be the 13th singles match ever between Okada and Naito. Their all-time series is tied 6-6. We have seen them wrestle twice already in 2022, with each wrestler winning 1 match. Okada defeated Naito, successfully defending this title against him on the February 20th show on the New Year's Golden Series Tour. And then, of course, as we just mentioned, in the New Japan Cup back on March 26th, Naito eliminated Okada from the tournament. So now, which wrestler will take the lead in the all-time head-to-head battle between 2 of the most decorated champions in New Japan Pro Wrestling? It'll be Naito and Okada in the main event at Wrestling Dontaku. I hope you enjoy the show, everyone. That's going to do it for this video. We'll be back with a new video Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to subscribe to Spoiler Free Wrestling for all your wrestling news.